Dr. Barry, licensed psychologist, and here we cover the psychological aspects of legal news. And today I want to talk about the case of Deobra Redden. This is the individual that is sometimes called the Las Vegas judge attacker because of an incident that happened when he was being sentenced. This happened, I feel like it was, I don't know where the summer went. So my time is completely off, but in this incident, in this situation, what ended up happening is so I think I covered it right when it happened. Let's see when this video. Okay, I'm going to share this tab instead. So I have videos from my previous coverage listed here. Um and so y'all, he was in the middle of being sentenced, and right in the middle of that, he very quickly jumped over and ended up attacking the judge. This judge had to testify in this trial. And what I mean, so the judge that he attacked had to testify in his trial. And when she was asked questions, because the defense almost tried to minimize her injuries, and I don't know, tried to make it almost seem like her injuries weren't that bad. But anybody that saw what happened, I think some of the things that happened was psychological, and then also just it might have been a headache, it could have been internal. And it really was very, very intense testimony. The court TV covered this. And so I'm going to back it up. Oh, okay, good. I'm sharing the right screen. Court TV covered this. And we are going to take a look at this from the beginning. All right, here we go. And then it's going to go into him pleading guilty but mentally ill. So in the middle of the trial, the jury went on like a 15-minute break that, it's my understanding based on the chat, ended up being about an hour and a half, and then they were sent home because he changed his plea from not guilty by reason of insanity to guilty but mentally ill. Because if he had been found guilty, he would not receive mental health treatment, but his guilty but mentally ill allows him to receive mental health treatment and then serve his jail sentence. So let's get into this. Like, it was so fast. What ended up, so like he was just standing. Oh, y'all didn't have sound? No. Okay, I'll have to do that again. Um, can you hear me? So let me know if you can hear me. I did get a notice in StreamYard that something wasn't connected, and I ignored it. I was like, "Oh, we're fine." And I guess I shouldn't have ignored that notification that it was not connected. So let's play that again. It's going to be a little loud, okay? This is court TV. It's going to be a little loud.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Michael Ayala. It was a surprising turn of events in the Judge Jumper attempted murder trial in Las Vegas. Defendant Deobra Redden pleaded guilty to all of the charges, including count 1 of attempted murder. Let's get you back into court now, where the judge is addressing the defendant.
You also understand that you are eligible for probation with respect to those other counts?
Yes.
As well as count 3?
Yes.
Your Honor, I think count 7 is actually non-probationable.
Okay. Okay. I will get to count 7.
So, of course, a different judge handled this case, and they had the clerk for the former judge testify. It did happen. So, he has been involved with mental health court multiple times, but he has been very violent, extremely very violent. Like he has a history when he's not on his medications being very violent. And the family and his attorney said when he was discharged from his last program, he wasn't given enough medication, and when he tried to follow up for medication, he was not able to get like, he actively tried to get his medication and was off of his medication for about a month. And so, it really ended up being very, very troubling case, and the family said he was in a he was in a psychotic rage, like, that he wasn't in his right mind when it happened, and I just wanna share because in Nevada, they have different options for insanity, and I have the links to this listed down below. I'm gonna make this just a little bigger. Let me see how it's showing up. I'm gonna make myself smaller. Yes. And so I do believe he's diagnosed with schizophrenia. And there're gonna be a lot of pop-ups. No, thank you. All right. So there are some crimes in Nevada that you're not eligible for if you are intoxicated or mentally unwell at the time. So there is an insanity defense, and the legal definition of insanity under McNaughton. And I recently covered the Carly Gregg case. And with Carly Gregg, this is the phase that they're currently in. They're getting her assessed to see if there are mental health experts that are going to say that they were in such a delusional state that they were unable to understand the nature or capacity of their act, or they're unable to appreciate that their conduct is illegal or wrong. And insanity is very, very hard to prove. The bar is extremely high. There is a lower bar for guilty but mentally ill. And so Nevada is one of the few states which allows defendants to plead guilty but mentally ill. This is essentially the same as pleading guilty. The only difference is that the judge may also order mental health treatment in addition to any criminal penalties, such as prison. So the individual can receive both inpatient mental health treatment, because normally with a not guilty by reason of insanity, you would they would only um get the medical treatment. And sorry, yeah, so for not guilty by reason of insanity, they would only receive the mental health treatment, and then once they were cleared by the mental health facility, they would be back into the population. And he has only done mental health court. That's my understanding. He has not participated, like, he's never went to jail, I don't think, for any of, because I think he has a pretty long criminal history, and each time, because they are aware of his mental health diagnosis, they've tried. He's done mental health court multiple times. I think this judge had seen him in prior mental health courts. I think it is clear that he does have some type of mental health condition. Now, is that what caused him to snap in that moment? Because when he was being sentenced, it sounded like the judge was going to give him a more severe penalty than he was expecting. And that's where, within that moment, it was so fast where and thank goodness the clerk was there and the bailiff came in, and multiple people had to pretty much, like, pry him off. And when a person is, because I believe they were saying he was hearing voices, and he was in an active psychotic state at the time. But for not guilty by reason of insanity, you also have to understand, you also have to not understand that what you're doing is wrong. And so that part was gonna be difficult to prove, I think. And the jury saw the video. The jury saw everything in court. He was completely fine. It wasn't even like, because the hearing he had immediately after the incident with the other judge, because he had to go back in front of her to finish the sentencing. I will say that again. After he attacked her, I think it was days later, maybe a week later, he had to go back in because she wasn't able to finish sentencing that day. He had to go back in front of her, and there were multiple deputies within, and he had like a spit mask on. That's the one where you see him with the mask on, and they ended up um they ended up making sure that she was able to finish her sentencing, and she had already written down what she was planning to sentence him with that day. So she entered her notes as part of the record because she wanted to make sure that on appeal, nobody would say that she changed her sentence based on being attacked or based on what happened. Uh, um, I agree. I think the judge's testimony and her clerk's testimony was going to be very, very difficult for the defense. And if he was found guilty, he was not going to receive mental health treatment. So he did end up pleading guilty, but mentally ill. And that's where he'll be able to do mental health treatment. But so the judge has not sentenced him yet. So this new judge for the crime of attempted on the judge, he has not been sentenced yet. So he was only changing his plea from not guilty by reason of insanity or not guilty to guilty but mentally ill. And with that change, he is facing possible prison time. And the judge just wanted to make sure that he was aware of that. He is back medicated. And it sounds like when he's medicated, he's pretty stable. It's when he's not on his medication that's when he's a greater risk. And it did sound like there were some pharmacists, like they were trying to get the medication and they weren't able to. On prior videos, I did cover because his adoptive mother came out and spoke, and there were multiple family members that came out supporting him. And I think this verdict kind of gets the best of both situations where, yes, he can get mental health treatment and he can also be held criminally responsible for his behavior. That it likely wasn't going to reach the level to a jury, so the jury was going to see everything that happened. Yes, former, you're right, not adoptive. It was a former foster mother. Correct. Thank you. Am I buffering? So I'm trying to make sure to close extra windows because I think I'm putting strain on my poor internet. So maybe I can stop sharing. All right. So this case was very difficult. I have so much respect for the judge in this case. She did seem kind of nervous having to be on the stand, but that's understandable. And or she's like me where she likes swerving in her chair. So I would swerve in my chair even if I wasn't nervous. In court, I try to cross my legs so that I don't fidget and move around a lot. For anybody with ADHD or with anxiety, crossing your legs, crossing your ankles is a way to. But you have to be careful that like your feet don't fall asleep. But crossing the ankles can make you like stay still. I agree. The judge was definitely impacted by that incident. I do think it was powerful for her to stand in front of him again and finish her sentence because some of the family tried to blame her that she made some offhand comment to him, and in my opinion she didn't do anything wrong. Like she wasn't aware that he wasn't on his medication. She wasn't aware that he was hearing voices, that he was actively psychotic because and his lawyer wasn't even aware that he was actively psychotic and wasn't competent to be there in that hearing. I really try to cover things in a way where if victims' families do see my coverage, that they can just feel that I handled it with care. I really try to. I did have the Gregor case. A family member reached out and provided me with additional information. It was a family member that was able to do so, so it wasn't the mom. But somebody reached out to me to just provide additional information, and I did pin that in a video, and I confirmed with them because they did want it to be submitted anonymously, and they also I did just confirm that it was okay for me to submit a specific statement based on what they had said. And so um I do think the jail knew that he wasn't on his medication. He had never had an outburst in court. So I think the jail kind of let their guard down with him a little bit. And that courtroom, I think, was very, very small. And he was very, very fast. Very. It was because just looking at him, if you were trying to see if he was agitated, but, like, there weren't clear like, he wasn't, like, balling his fist, he wasn't, like, looking angrily, like but he it was just it was really, really fast. If you wanna see the full video, please take a look at it. I do so that's where we can agree to disagree. So I love when people provide their opinions respectfully, and so a lot of people do not feel that he was psychotic in that moment. There has been, like, testimony from people that he was actively hearing things, that he was back in a psychotic state prior to that. Um and sometimes with psychosis, it can be calm like that until you're not, and so I've done a lot of videos in the past 2 days. If you're new to my channel, please make sure to check out my court coverage. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye. Excuse me, sorry.